Yes. So I was in Gaza from March 27th to June 3rd, and I still have a lot of colleagues and sources and friends in Gaza now. I was there with GLIA International, which is a Palestinian-run Canadian organization. And so I was really going into different hospitals and really doing all sorts of logistics works because I was a logistics coordinator. And on the ground now, people are malnourished. Even when I was there from March to June, I only ate one meal a day and lost about 10 to 12 pounds. Um, Now it's just that the situation got so much worse with the aid distribution being replaced by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. It went from 400 locations to four. Our doctors were seeing people who were skin and bones. They were seeing people who were also violently attacked, sniped at, and shot at these aid traps. So the situation there is such that like friends of mine have lost nearly 80 pounds. Some of them are walking around at 6 feet tall, 118 pounds. People are gaunt and they're only eating once every couple of days. I think very recently the market has gotten slightly better. I think that there's some more cheese and sugar on the market, but um, from March to August, it has been just a complete blockade from anything really mostly anything entering in to Gaza, uh, apart from a few um, exceptions, and it has just not met the calorie count for people there. When I was there, tain or flour was hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And by the time I was leaving, and in the last month or so, there were so few on the market. You have to imagine that the market is just strained and choked, and there's very little on it. And then things like local farms have been destroyed. Only about 83%, I think around 83% have been destroyed. Fishing fleets, around the same number, 80%. Um, the enclave has been nearly 88% or so at one point was a red zone, which means that it's actively being bombed and so dangerous for people to be there that you're talking about millions of people crowding in the center. They've destroyed everything so that there are no, there's such few local produce capable of sustaining people's needs. There's not enough of that. And then there's nothing coming in. They've also destroyed nearly every hospital. If every hospital is not functioning fully at all. The amount of community kitchens when I went there were around 170 several months ago. It dwindled until it was just dozens by May. And now a lot of them are not operational because there's no food to serve. You went from an aid distribution system that had 400 locations across the strip that was doing hot meals, serving them to people directly to their dwelling. It was serving red zones. Now you have that replaced with aid trap sites where people are being shot at. There is literally just no food. There is no sense of creating food there. There's very few cultivatable pieces of land. It's hard to go into the ocean and get fish because the Israelis have made it so impossible and have almost outlawed it in some ways. I think have outlawed it. They have made it so dangerous. I was there. Quadcopters and drones are in the air 100% of the time. Bombs are falling all of the time. Within minutes, bombs are falling from the one to the next. So the situation is focused squarely on eradicating the Palestinian people. Any relief measures have been snuffed. And Israel is doing what it can to eradicate the rest of Gaza so that it can occupy it, which I believe has been always the goal. The aid drops that are being flown in on planes are inadequate on their face. Like there's not enough supplies. They're inefficient. They kill people. They've literally hurt people. I believe I saw a video of a child getting hurt or dying. It's hard to know. There's also just not enough supplies on those planes. The trucks are logistically being stopped from entering at a rate that is acceptable by the Israelis. They are the reason anything gets in or anything goes out from Gaza. And so everything that is not going in is because of the Israelis stopping it from going in. Um, the only way to repair this is to get Israel out, to get every machine, every weapon, every drone, every F-16, every Apache out of the enclave and pour money and food and assistance and medical health sort of health support, pouring it into Gaza because right now it's so dire and it's not a tragedy, it's an intentional eradication. So we're watching the world sort of eat Gaza up. We're watching the world powers eat Gaza up, and then the rest of the world get mad as though it's a surprise or that it's a tragedy, but it's very intentional. Like if you go there, it's an eradication on several levels at different multivariable points. And I think it's important that we realize that all of the aid drops or the aid systems that are in place are not to give Palestinians any relief or, I mean, they're coming from the people who are genociding them to begin with. So it's all a big farce to me, especially when you're there, you realize how much of a farce it is because the fact is everybody is becoming malnourished, everybody is exhausted and traumatized, and there's no doubt that this is not really a war or a fight, but a real occupation and destruction of a people. I think it's really important to realize that if you're hungry and you're being bombed and there's a drone lowly humming all day long, symbolic gestures mean nothing, actually. Like they are, encouraging in a sense. And I think that there's solidarity and there's appreciation. I think the people of Gaza are incredibly adept spiritually and really understand what it is to be a Muslim. Many of them are religious Muslims, some are not, but their spirituality and their faithfulness allows them to see the good. I think that the world is trying to do in the ways that the most populations really stand with them. It's the governments that don't. But the truth is the governments who are making these pleas or these recommendations or symbolically speaking, it really literally doesn't get people fed. And I think you have to understand, like, being hungry is hard. It is something that most people cannot fathom. When you're starving, someone telling you that you're starving isn't helping you eat, right? Like you need them to get to use their bodies, to use their policies, to use their capacity to literally stop the problem because the problem is killing everybody. It's very scary. It's very intense. So, symbolic gestures, acts of solidarity that are symbolic in gesture. It's too far into this genocide for those to be meaningful to people there. I think they're feeling abandoned. I feel like their mood is that they've been abandoned, that they're having a hard time planning for the next day. So, the way we speak about it and the way that we treat this needs to be realistic. So these governments doing these things, while nice nominally, are just nominal ultimately. I think every Palestinian in Gaza right now, whether they're a doctor or a journalist or a civil defense person pulling people out of rubble, are doing it out of a sense of duty, out of a sense of necessity. If not them, then who? And I felt the same duty when I was in Gaza and when I went as a humanitarian aid worker. I felt as though if not me, then who? Like, who is supposed to be a humanitarian aid worker? And I feel like the Palestinian journalists are a cut above the rest. They have shown what it takes to document a live genocide when your life is on the line for the good of speaking truth to power. For like the ultimate jihad is to really be honest and to use the truth against a tyrant. I think that these Palestinian journalists are doing it because if they don't do it, then who will do it? Without them, there is no one else. So I think that when I went, I didn't go to be a journalist because I knew that that had been covered by my Palestinian colleagues. But I did go to be a humanitarian aid worker and to support them, and then to leave. And I was reporting while I was there. I was doing a lot of interviews. I was doing a lot of research with people and going into sort of embedding with people and understanding their lives and what they've been going through and their perspectives. But I did so because everybody needs to be doing so. Like this is the tragedy of our time. This is a not only a tragedy of our time, but the, this is a crime against humanity, the biggest one that we have ever witnessed. And we know why it's happening, how it's happening, who's paying for it. We know who supports it, why they support it, and what they want from what they seemingly want from eradicating a people. And so it really is a matter of all of us doing the most that we possibly can in our little lives while we can to speak the truth, because that is just the most beautiful and loving possible thing you can do. And I think memorizing Palestinians and the way they treated each other in Gaza impacts the way I think about this and talk about it. I just think that it's very important that we really act as a collective and act as people who care for each other, and don't center our own pain or our own depression over what's going on, so that it doesn't slow us down and so that we can be strong and try to correct the crimes of our compatriots who are really just other people who are living in the same timeline with. So it just takes all of us feeling more responsible.